Breadbox Media programming is brought to you by...
Do you wish you knew the saints better? Overwhelmed with all the events in Catholic history and just wish you could tie it all together? It's tough work, and even scientists have determined that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it is done with play, in which case it takes between 10 and 20 repetitions. Introducing Saint Cards, where the facts about saints and history are presented in fun and engaging games for ages 4 to 104. Check out Saint Cards at saintcards.com and begin the fun for your family, school, and parish today.
Introducing the redesigned CatholicSingles.com, featuring new ways that put the spotlight on the person and their faith, not just a profile picture. For the past 20 years, faithful Catholics have used CatholicSingles.com, and the reimagined CatholicSingles.com website is ready to help single Catholics take the next step in sharing meaningful relationships with other faithful Catholics. Remember, CatholicSingles.com for faith, fellowship, and love.
What are you doing this Lent? The St. Paul Center is streaming their newest video Bible study for free, starting Ash Wednesday. Based on Scott Hahn's renowned covenantal theology, this is a study no one should miss. Invite your friends, Catholic or not. Don't miss your chance to see this premium study for free. Go to stpaulcenter.com to sign up today.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lisa, Hendey, and Friends. I am so happy to be back behind the microphone. The last few weeks have been super busy with trips to the Religious Education Congress. I'm speaking here in Los Angeles, a journey over to Tucson, and as usual, this week is busy too. Next weekend, I'll be speaking in Connecticut, but I'm happy to be behind the microphone today to share a wonderful guest. Our guest today is Jenn Gotzon Chandler, and she stars in the film that we're highlighting this week, which is Sunrise in Heaven. I want to play the trailer for you, but before I do, I'll just read you a little bit of synopsis of the film. After a devastating car crash leaves her husband on life support, one woman must find strength in her faith as she faces the prospect of his passing. Recalling their courtship through flashbacks, she relives the early days of their relationship and how they fell in love. Their journey wasn't an easy one as she faced resistance from her conservative father, played amazingly by Corbin Bernsen, a decorated officer who made it clear that he didn't want his daughter dating anyone from the military. But their love was stronger than any obstacle encountered in this true story of faith, family, and resilience. The name of the film, again, is Sunrise in Heaven. It opens this week on April 9th on digital download and on DVD. And let's take a listen to the trailer.
Hi. I like your hair.
I don't date GIs.
Yet.
Ever.
Until.
In January, because I'm in love.
You ready to see the world?
I thought I was looking at it.
I'm in love with you.
Where are you going, young lady?
I'm going to the movies with Julie.
Just you and Julie,
My dad used to train recruits. He told me what GIs were like.
He's not wrong. But I'm not one of those guys. He's testing me.
He's crazy. You don't have to put up with this.
I'm not one of your recruits. Now, I knew what you were the moment I saw you. And what's that? Soft. This conversation is over, young lady.
God, my dad devoted his entire life to you. So I just ask that you please take care of it.
Ephesians tells us, husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
He was always the careful one. He was always careful. I am the one who should not be here. If I could trade places with him, I would.
He'll always be my father. I don't want us to spend the rest of our lives sneaking around.
You obviously love him. If you want him, then go fight for him.
Well, next up on the podcast, I'm absolutely delighted to bring you a beautiful, beautiful actress inside and out. She is such a gift in the role that she portrays. Joining us today is Jenn Gotzon Chandler, and Jenn is an award-winning actress who brings the craft of storytelling to film. We're here today to talk with her about her wonderful role as Terry in the beautiful movie Sunrise in Heaven, which is launching on digital and DVD on April 9th. Jenn, welcome. Jenn, you did such a great job of portraying Terry that I'm calling you Terry now. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. What a joy to be able to talk about a beautiful story, Sunrise in Heaven, that can just inspire all of our hearts.
Yeah, this is amazing. I had a great chance to see a screener of it this week, and I think that it's rare these days that I get a chance to say about a film, anyone can see this film and everyone should see it. So I'm curious, first of all, about how you got attached to this particular project, because I know your past work has included Frost Nixon and some other faith-based films, but also, just a broad variety of different characters. How did you come to play Terry in this film?
Yeah. Oh, it's a joy to be able to bring to life real-life characters or historical characters. And I had the honor of working with the producers, the Nassers, in a movie last year called My Daddy is in Heaven, based on a true story. And this year, or when they made Sunrise in Heaven, they had this beautiful book that Jan Hurst shared her story, and her book is called His Sunrise, My Sunset. And when they were putting it together, they reached out to me to play Jan's daughter, Terry. And I had such a fun time being able to talk with Jan and learn about her, and then being able to talk with Terry and try to just crawl inside their heads and hearts and really understand what they experienced during this very difficult time of their life. And then I just prayed and asked the Lord to allow those moments to just come through on screen so we can honor this true story, hopefully so audiences can watch and basically see themselves in these roles and be able to identify and hopefully be taken on a journey of faith, love, and perseverance in Sunrise in Heaven.
So our listeners will have already heard the trailer for the film, but this, as you mentioned, is based on a true story. And so it's kind of a unique thing to play someone, that you can actually have a conversation with and kind of go back into what their emotions were during that moment. I'm kind of curious about what you learned personally from playing this particular role, how it's impacted your own life.
Oh, what a beautiful question. What impacted my life is to see how Terry's faith really helped bridge life and renewed purpose and faith into her sister's life. And when her sister became a little bit more stagnant, reserved, more religious, more pushed away from a genuine relationship with Jesus Christ. And when there was a tragic accident that happened in their family, she's a doctor, and she knew that her dad had a very marginal option to be able to live. So she looked at it from a scientific aspect. As my character, as Terry, she looked at it as the opportunity that God can heal people, and with God all things are possible, and God does go before us and behind us. And what helped inspire me is that when we walk alongside those in life who have a different faith than us, the love and the light of Jesus just shines off and truly is cultivating change and transformation in the other person's lives. And it's like the parable of the seed. When the seed falls, whatever ground it falls on, that's the fruit you're going to receive. And so watching how Terry was able to be that light for her sister, and then at the end of the story, we see her sister starting to come around and renewing her faith in Christ, in prayer and in God, really helped me know that that's what iron sharpening iron is on a day-to-day basis with us around each other, from, driving to being at the grocery store to being at work to just being with friends. The love of God really, truly makes a difference, and we see that all throughout this beautiful story, Sunrise in Heaven.
There's this poignant moment in the film where we're, I believe, at the funeral scene. Oops, possible spoiler alert there, that we're at a funeral scene. and I wanted to bring it up because I had to kind of rewind a little bit and double check, but I think that there's a cameo by some of the original, the actual family members. So were they on set quite a lot when you were filming?
Jan came on out, and she was on set with us. And so you will see her there, and her children were a phone call away and sharing their insights during the time that went on during this very difficult time in their family's life. So we were doing what we could do to captivate those moments truthfully and honoring their family.
Beautiful. And this film has some big names in it. The first one that caught my eye was, of course, Corbin Bernsen. But it's played out in two different time eras, because it's a little bit of a flashback kind of a movie, which is just so compelling. So you find two different women, portraying one character. Were you ever on set with everyone at once, or was it kind of like a divided set?
Yeah, we had two different sets, and so our work days never crossed each other. So we filmed all of the hospital scenes, and then they went and they filmed in the beginning of the movie, or in essence, when they're younger, at a separate time. And Corbin and Dee Wallace play the parents of Jan and her love, Steve, when they were kids. It's so good. They do such a great job.
They really do.
Gosh. And it's so good. Dee Wallace, she gives some looks at her daughter to make sure, don't you be disobedient, and that made me laugh so much. And the way that Corbin portrays the militant father is just fantastic. I was chatting with him the other day. I'm like, Corbin, you killed this role.
He really was brilliant. And I mean, I was afraid of him. And you kept thinking, inside of there's a little teddy bear, but he puts on a pretty gruff exterior.
Yes, he does. And then at the end, we see his teddy bear heart. And you're like, oh, I love it.
I knew it was in there. Yeah, so beautiful. So, you talk a lot in your work about storytelling. And I've been looking a little bit at your recent projects and see that, well, congratulations on being a relative newlywed. That's awesome. And I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts about, as your career has blossomed and grown, the power of something as simple as film to, tell the story of someone's life that can really have an impact on how people see the world around them, and especially their faith life.
Amen. If you go into the middle of the world where there are no TVs, no radios, and you ask them about if they know someone super famous, they're going to know someone super famous. And that's because media is the largest tool to communicate message. And so we could use that tool to be able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ through stories. How providential to be able to make an impact in people's hearts and souls. And so I've been called by God is to find those types of stories that depict the human condition in all sorts of forms, because all of us are hot messes. Nobody's perfect. And if, even though you want to try to put on the perfect face and say, oh, everything's happy, but underneath, what you're struggling with, the stresses and the anxieties, or even, just be running late in the day. I love being able to get into the heart wounds of the human person, and then through story, let's see the ups, the downs, and let's see the catalytical transformation that can happen. And when we capture that on camera, and an audience are because the moviegoer is going to sit back to watch movies to be entertained. They're going to eat popcorn and enjoy themselves snuggled up on their couch. And in the midst of those moments, if there could be pearls of wisdom that can inspire their soul to say, you are wonderful, you are loved, you do have purpose, God loves you, have faith, it's okay to start again. And the next day they wake up and they say, you know what, I can put my feet back on the ground and take a deep breath and I can move forward. Those are the things that I really believe movies have the ability to do in our day-to-day life and really make some big differences in change that people are dealing with.
I think Sunrise in Heaven is really one of those films because you see, the prism of faith of so many of these characters. And even, the wife herself goes through a little bit of a crisis of faith. And it's, her daughters are there for her at different pivotal moments, to help her stay balanced. And I'm kind of curious about what it's like for a busy actor on set. Those are long days and very emotional days. Some of the scenes that you play are quite emotional. How do you kind of lean into and maintain your personal prayer life when you're so busy? And, how is it kind of an anchor for you?
Oh my goodness. If I don't have a prayer team, and if I don't wake up and spend time reading the Bible and getting into the Word of God, it feels as if I'm malnourished. I need to breathe the Word of God and pray and read through the devotions and get myself structured. And if I know if I wake up and I'm running to set and I don't carve that time out, it feels like something's off. It's almost, I could relate it to if someone wakes up and they have coffee every morning. If you don't have coffee, you feel groggy and something's missing and your brain's not functioning. That's what happens if I don't make that time with God. And then I have a prayer group. I have a private Facebook group that's a prayer team, and I'll send a prayer message out each day on set saying, these are the areas I would love for you to pray for. So we're praying for the artistic excellence of the storytelling and praying for the cast and the crew and praying that the light of Christ shines through the performances on and off, and that we're really able to capture the truth of humanity so we could really make those differences in people's lives. So I look at acting as my mission field, and so prayer is my foundation, and Sunrise in Heaven is a great story and a great example of it.
Yeah, I'm curious about, as someone actively working in and around Hollywood, Hollywood being the film industry, do you ever have any concerns about being sort of niched? Now, you've played, the daughter of Richard Nixon, which is certainly outside the niche, but I'm curious about if there's any concerns about taking particular faith-based roles because you worry, or do you see that as a blessing for your career?
Lisa, you know what it is? It is where God has me, and I am so excited to do movies that honor God and inspire people's lives, and you can get a script, and you know that there's not going to be any nudity or any profane language or any really horrific situations because of the nature of the genre. So I look at it as God's protection, and I think it's fantastic.
Well, that's
now my husband, he works in mainstream movies, and so we do see, or mainstream television, I should say, and we do see this conflict coming in where he has to get scripts and he reads it, and I'm like, I am so grateful that I don't have to make those decisions because it's hard. So in the faith genre, you really do have a core message, and I love being a part of them.
And we see these films time and time again just being so successful. I hope the same is for Sunrise in Heaven, that when, it releases on April 9th, that everyone will grab this as a digital download or, a DVD or, on demand wherever it's available, and definitely come out with your family and support projects like this. So, Jenn, are we able to talk about what's next for you in your work? What comes after this film?
Sure. My husband and I are producing our love story into a Christmas romantic comedy called The Farmer and the Belle, and our heart is to be able to provide a biblical pathway to girls to help them know that their beauty and their value and their worth is not based on their physical appearance, but based on having a beautiful heart. And we go into production on April 24th, and it's the first feature film I'm producing with my husband and an amazing team of people. So that is what's next, and we look forward it to come out 2020. And it's awesome.
That sounds fantastic. The Farmer and the Belle. We'll be watching out for that one. I hope I get to interview you when it comes out. Well, again, our guest today has been Jenn Gotzon Chandler. We'll have links in our show notes over at lisahendey.com for you to get a hold of all of her projects that she's been a part of, and especially to check out Sunrise in Heaven coming out on April 9th. Jenn, thank you so much for your time and for the beautiful work you do.
Lisa, thank you, and God bless you, and God bless all your listeners. And just remember, the Lord goes before you and behind you. We just have to rest in his peace.
Beautiful. Well, again, so grateful to our guest, Jenn Gotzon Chandler, for shining a little bit of light out here in Hollywood. The film, again, is Sunrise in Heaven. We'll have links for you to be able to grab this on DVD or digital download starting on April 9th. It is a family-friendly film, and I think this is something that you'll enjoy watching with your kids. It's interesting that while the film's main focus is on, issues of faith, there's also, this issue that arises of the dating relationship and how the couple comes together and kind of their discernment. And so it might be a really fun film to watch with teens, as you begin to open up conversations about dating in today's world. It's a different world out there. So again, a really fun film with lots of cool period production, old cars, great sets, amazing music, and wonderful portrayals by the entire cast. So be sure to check it out. Sunrise in Heaven. Well, that's it for this week's show. We're going to be back next week with another podcast. I'm going to ask for your prayers. I'm getting ready to kind of stockpile some podcast this week because I will be traveling not only this weekend to Connecticut, but most importantly next week I'll be heading to Gulfport, Mississippi to be with my family for an extended time, helping with some of the care of my mom, Anne. Many of you have seen me asking for prayers for Anne, and I just renew my issue of asking you to pray for our family. My parents are just such an amazing example to me of the power of love and the power of family. And, I'm the eldest of 5 wonderful siblings. And while this has been a greatly challenging time for our family, I've seen my siblings come together in beautiful ways. And it's just an honor right now to be able to finally, now that my schedule is clearing a little bit, to go and to be with my parents and to do what I can to help them. So, but I'll admit it, I'm nervous, and I just hope I can be there in the way that Mom needs. So I'm going to ask for your prayers for Anne and Pat, for me and for all my brothers and sisters. And just be assured too that in this time when, I'm asking for your prayers, please know that you have mine. A lot of you prayed the novena to Our Lady Undoer of Knots with me a few weeks ago, and it was such a gift to carry your prayer intentions with me. So if I can do that again, I hope that you'll let me know. God knows every need of our heart long before we do, and he answers those in his time. But it's an honor to have a friendship with you that enables me to carry those struggles alongside you. So if I can be praying for you in a special way, please don't hesitate to let me know. If you enjoy the podcast, as always, I'll ask you to support my friends over at Breadbox Media and to consider leaving a review or a star rating at iTunes. If there's something that you would like to hear on the show, definitely pass along your suggestions for future guests. And if I can improve in some way, which I know I can, leave me a review and let me know. If you're enjoying the show, please share it with your friends. That helps us to grow and spread the power of friendship. And that's how we get things done around here. So until next week, I hope you have an awesome week, friends. Bye.
Breadbox Media programming is brought to you by Jack Kane Ford. Find your next Ford Tough vehicle at caneford.com.
CMF Curo is the country's first Catholic healthcare ministry to provide an affordable health sharing solution rooted in Catholic teaching and community. Learn more at mycatholichealthcare.com/podcast. That's mycatholichealthcare.com/podcast.